The massive ships appeared on a quiet Tuesday morning. They came without warning, their dark shapes blocking out the sun over every major city on Earth. The world held its breath as the alien vessels hung silently in the sky, their sleek surfaces gleaming like polished obsidian. General Marcus Stone stood at the window of the United Defense Council chamber, his weathered hands clasped behind his back. After 40 years in the military, he had thought nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. The ships above made Earth's largest aircraft carriers look like toys in comparison. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," announced Colonel Peters, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "They want to meet." Within hours, the alien delegation arrived at the UN headquarters in New York. Their ships moved without a sound, defying everything humans knew about physics. As they landed, the ground didn't even tremor. General Stone watched with narrow eyes as the alien craft's surface rippled like liquid metal, forming a doorway out of nothing. The alien who stepped out first stood nearly 8 feet tall. Its metallic armor seemed to flow around its body like water, and a soft blue light pulsed beneath its surface. This was High Commander Vale of the Stellar Coalition. They would soon learn. "Your world has finally advanced enough to warrant our attention," Vale announced to the assembled human leaders. Its voice came through some kind of translator, smooth and artificial. "We have watched your progress from afar. You show potential." The alien's gaze swept across the room, lingering on the military officers present. "Though your methods remain primitive." General Stone felt his jaw tighten, but kept his expression neutral. Beside him, Captain Ward shifted slightly, her hand unconsciously moving toward where her sidearm would usually be. They had all been required to come unarmed to this meeting. Vale raised one of its 4 arms, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth's military bases, satellites, and defense systems in perfect detail. "Your most advanced weapons are little more than children's toys to us. These primitive projectile launchers." The hologram zoomed in on a missile silo. "Even your nuclear devices." The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Our smallest ships could absorb the impact of every nuclear weapon on your planet without their shields even flickering." To demonstrate, Vale produced a small sphere from its armor. With a gesture, it created a miniature force field in the air. "Our defensive technology operates on principles your scientists haven't even discovered yet. Energy-based weapons are the mark of a civilized species. Your reliance on primitive kinetic weapons is quaint." The sphere floated to the center of the room, projecting images of coalition ships effortlessly deflecting energy weapons that made Earth's most powerful lasers look like flashlights. "This is true power," Vale declared. "This is the future we offer you." General Stone watched the demonstration quietly, his mind racing. Something about the way the aliens dismissed physical weapons entirely caught his attention. He had been in enough wars to know that showing off your defenses usually meant revealing your weaknesses too. "We invite Earth to join the Stellar Coalition," Vale announced. "Under our guidance, you will advance beyond these primitive methods. You will learn to wield true power." The alien's tone made it clear this wasn't really an invitation, it was a demand. As the other human leaders began asking questions about trade, technology, and cultural exchange, General Stone remained silent. He noticed how the aliens constantly referred to their energy shields, their plasma weapons, their antimatter drives. But not once did they mention any conventional weapons. Not once did they demonstrate stopping a physical projectile. When the meeting ended, Vale approached General Stone directly. "You are unusually quiet for a military leader," the alien observed. "Are you not impressed by what we offer?" Stone met the alien's gaze steadily. "On Earth, we have a saying. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is." Vale made that laughing sound again. "Primitive wisdom for a primitive species. Soon you will learn better." As the aliens departed, Captain Ward moved closer to Stone. "What are you thinking, sir?" Stone watched the alien ships rise silently into the sky. I'm thinking that someone who spends that much time bragging about their armor might be worried about something getting through it. Above them, the massive ships disappeared into the clouds, leaving humanity to ponder their future. But in General Stone's mind, the first seeds of a plan were already taking root. The aliens had shown off their greatest strength today. And just maybe, they had revealed their greatest weakness too. 3 days after first contact, the Coalition began their show of force. Their ships performed impossible maneuvers above Earth's major cities, trailing lights that painted the sky in brilliant colors. To most civilians, it looked like a celebration. To military observers like Captain Lisa Ward, it was a threat display. She stood in the underground command center, watching the feeds from around the world. "They're scanning us," she reported to General Stone. "Every time they do one of these demonstrations, they're mapping more of our infrastructure." The general nodded, his eyes fixed on the main screen where a Coalition ship was effortlessly dodging missiles in a friendly demonstration of their defensive capabilities. The missiles never even got close. Some kind of energy field pushed them off course long before impact. 10 minutes until the Coalition's announcement, Colonel Peters called out. Right on schedule, High Commander Vale's image appeared on screens worldwide. The aliens' armor seemed to shimmer even through the broadcast. "People of Earth, you have been given time to witness the power and sophistication of the Stellar Coalition. Now, you must make your choice." The alien's voice carried an edge that hadn't been there during first contact. "Join us willingly, and we will guide your species into a new age of enlightenment. Resist, and we will be forced to assist your evolution more directly." In the command center, technicians worked frantically to analyze the energy readings from the Coalition ships. Dr. James Cooper, their lead scientist, pointed to a peculiar pattern in the data. "Look at these frequencies, sir. Their shields operate on a predictable cycle." "Time frame?" Stone asked. 5 days for full integration," Vale continued on screen. "We will begin by replacing your primitive military installations with proper Coalition defense systems. Your nuclear weapons will be safely disposed of. Your armies will be retrained in civilized combat methods." Captain Ward leaned closer to the sensor readings. "Their shield frequency changes when they're blocking energy weapons versus deflecting physical objects," she whispered. "And look, it's strongest against plasma and laser fire, but when they deflect our missiles, the power draw spikes," Dr. Cooper finished. "They're using brute force to push physical objects away. It's inefficient." General Stone's expression remained neutral, but his mind was racing. "Can we get these readings to our facility in the Rockies?" "Already done, sir," Ward replied. "Our people there say they've never seen anything like these energy patterns, but they have some ideas." On screen, Vela was still talking. "Your projectile weapons and explosives will be replaced with proper energy-based armaments. We understand this may seem frightening to a primitive species, but you must trust in our superior wisdom." In the back of the room, Dr. Cooper's tablet beeped. His eyes widened as he read the message from the Rocky Mountain facility. "Sir," he whispered urgently, "our team found something. The alien shields, they're not actually stopping our missiles. They're pushing them away with focused energy fields, but a fast enough projectile might get through before their fields can react." Stone finished. He turned to Captain Ward. "How many of our old Railven prototypes did we keep?" 3 working models in storage, sir. We mothballed them when the power requirements proved too high. Power requirements that might not matter if they only need to fire once." Stone's voice was very quiet now. "Get them to the mountain. Complete secrecy. As far as the Coalition is concerned, we're just moving obsolete junk. Earth's military forces will be given the great honor of serving alongside Coalition peacekeepers," Vale declared. "Your primitive weapons may be displayed in museums as reminders of how far you have advanced under our guidance." Captain Ward was already making calls, her voice low and urgent. Around the command center, other officers worked with deliberate calm. knowing that every coalition ship above was watching for signs of resistance. "This is not a negotiation," Vale concluded. "This is your ascension. Embrace it willingly, or we will be forced to show you the true power of our technology." The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, General Stone finally allowed himself a small smile. "Get me a secure line to every military commander still operating independently," he ordered. "Tell them to make a show of preparing to surrender. But in their old storage facilities, their museums, their mothballed projects, tell them to look for anything that uses simple physical force. No energy weapons, no explosives. Just good old-fashioned kinetic impact." He turned to look at the alien ships through the armored window. "They want us to think we're primitive. Fine. Let's show them just how dangerous primitive can be." Deep in the Rocky Mountains, behind layers of solid rock and security systems, Dr. Cooper stared at the old railgun prototype. The massive weapon looked almost primitive compared to the sleek alien technology above. That was exactly why it might work. "Their entire civilization has forgotten about kinetic weapons," he explained to the assembled team. "They're so focused on energy shields and plasma weapons that they've left themselves open to the basics of physics." Captain Ward ran her hand along the railgun's barrel. "How fast can we make it shoot?" "That's the beautiful part," Dr. Cooper said, pulling up diagrams on his tablet. "We don't need fancy power systems anymore. The aliens gave us everything we need when they showed off their ships. The energy readings Captain Ward collected, we can use their own shield frequencies to boost our projectile speed." In the corner, General Stone watched silently as the team worked. The Coalition had given Earth 4 more days to prepare for integration. Above ground, humans made a show of dismantling their missile silos and deactivating their defense systems. The aliens watched smugly from orbit, believing they were witnessing humanity's surrender. They didn't see the constant stream of trucks moving museum pieces and obsolete equipment into hidden facilities across the globe. They didn't notice that many of these facilities were positioned at key points their ships would need to occupy during the integration process. "The first test is ready," Dr. Cooper announced. The team moved to the observation room, watching through thick windows as the railgun powered up. Its target was a salvaged piece of alien metal, protected by a small shield generator they'd managed to study. The weapon fired with barely a sound. The tungsten rod moved so fast that cameras barely caught it. When they played back the footage in slow motion, they saw what they'd hoped for. The projectile passed through the shield before the energy field could react. "Their shields work on a prediction system," Dr. Cooper explained, pointing to the data. "They detect energy weapons instantly because they're looking for them, but solid objects. The system has to detect them first, then calculate their trajectory, then focus shield power to deflect them. If the object moves fast enough." "The shield is useless," Captain Ward finished. She turned to General Stone. "How many can we build in 4 days?" "We don't need many," Stone replied. "Just enough for one perfect shot per ship. We'll only get one chance at surprise." He looked at the data scrolling across the screens. "How are the other projects coming along?" Ward pulled up reports from other facilities. The Australian team modified their old coil guns. The European Union rebuilt their mass drivers. Russia brought out some interesting rail systems they never declared. Everyone found something useful in their museum pieces. Dr. Cooper added another detail. "The best part. The aliens' arrogance works in our favor. Their sensors aren't even designed to detect simple mechanical weapons. They're looking for energy signatures, radiation, plasma containment. To them, our railguns look like mining equipment." Stone nodded slowly. "And the targeting data?" "Already distributed through the old shortwave radio networks," Ward replied. "The Coalition doesn't even monitor those frequencies. They think they're too primitive to matter." The general allowed himself a small smile. "How many ships will be in position when they begin their integration?" 57 major vessels spread across our largest cities," Ward reported. "Each one will hold position to begin installing their defense systems. They'll be stationary targets. Perfect. Stone looked at the railgun again. The moment they power down their engines to start installation, their shields will be operating at minimal power. That's our window. Dr. Cooper raised a concern. Sir, even if we take out their ships, they'll still have ground forces, energy weapons. Let them come, Stone said quietly. Their personal shields work the same way as their ships. Once we show the world their weakness, he let the thought hang in the air. Captain Ward understood. Every baseball pitcher, every hunting rifle, every slingshot becomes a potential weapon. They won't expect it. Exactly. Stone turned to address the entire team. They called us primitive. They mocked our weapons. They forgot that sometimes the simplest solution is the most effective. In 3 days, we remind them why humanity survived all these years using such primitive methods. He looked at the railgun one last time before heading to the exit. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Get everything ready. When they power down their ships to begin integration, we show them exactly how dangerous primitive can be. The day of integration arrived with a red sunrise. Coalition ships moved into position above Earth's major cities, their massive forms casting long shadows over the buildings below. High Commander Vale's voice echoed through every communication device on the planet. Your cooperation in this transition has been noted, the alien leader announced. The Stellar Coalition welcomes Earth's peaceful acceptance of our guidance. Integration will begin in 1 standard hour. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Stone watched the alien ships settling into their positions. Beside him, Captain Ward coordinated with teams worldwide through old radio frequencies. The Coalition didn't even bother jamming these outdated channels. Australia reports ready, she whispered. Europe, ready. Asia, ready. All stations go dark in 10 minutes. Dr. Cooper monitored the alien ship's energy readings. They're starting to power down their engines. Shield frequencies dropping to installation levels. Stone picked up a simple radio handset. No fancy technology, just basic equipment that had served humanity for over a century. All stations, maintain radio silence until my mark. Remember your training. 1 shot, 1 kill. That's all we get. The Coalition ships began their final descent. Their massive forms hung impossibly still in the air, preparing to link with the ground. High Commander Vale's ship took position directly above New York, its surface rippling as installation ports began to open. Shield power at 40% and dropping, Dr. Cooper reported. They're diverting power to their installation systems. Stone watched the clock. The aliens had programmed their entire integration sequence to begin simultaneously worldwide. Their arrogance in believing Earth was completely subdued meant they'd given humanity the perfect synchronized target. 30 seconds, Ward whispered. Around the world, hidden weapons powered up. The Coalition's advanced sensors detected the energy spikes but classified them as harmless industrial activity. After all, what threat could primitive human technology pose? 15 seconds. In the Australian outback, modified coil guns aimed at alien ships. In the European mountains, mass drivers locked onto targets. Across Russia, rail systems hummed to life. In the American Rockies, rail guns prepared to fire. Shields at minimum power, Dr. Cooper confirmed. They're fully committed to the installation sequence. Stone raised the radio. All stations, fire. The world's response was almost silent. No explosions, no energy beams, no missiles. Just the quiet hum of electromagnetic launches sending solid metal rods at speeds that broke physics. High Commander Vale's first warning was the sound of a tungsten rod punching through their flagship's hull. The projectile moved so fast that the shield's detection systems didn't even register it until it had already passed through both sides of the ship. The alien leader stared in disbelief at the small, clean hole that now went straight through their command center. Impossible. Across the globe, Coalition ships discovered too late why humanity had kept its primitive weapons. Railgun shots pierced shields designed to stop energy weapons. Coilvin projectiles ripped through hulls built to withstand plasma. Mass draggers sent simple metal slugs through ships that could supposedly withstand nuclear blasts. All hits confirmed, Ward reported, her voice tense with contained excitement. 87% accuracy. 52 ships breached. The surviving coalition vessels scrambled to raise their shields, but the damage was done. Their perfect formation broke as ships tried to escape the invisible onslaught. Some managed to power up their engines, only to find that their shield systems had been permanently damaged by the kinetic impacts. Launch second wave, Stone ordered. Another volley of projectiles streaked upward. This time, the coalition ships tried to dodge, but their advanced maneuvers were based on avoiding energy weapons. They had no protocols for something as simple as leading a target. Vale's voice crackled over the command center speakers, no longer smooth and confident. This is impossible. Your weapons are primitive. Our shields. Sometimes the old ways are best, Stone replied calmly into his radio. You forgot about simple physics, Commander. No matter how advanced your shields, they can't stop what they can't catch. The alien ships began a full retreat, their perfect formation now broken. Some limped away with massive holes torn through their hulls. Others simply fell from the sky, their anti-gravity systems shattered by precisely aimed kinetic rounds. As the coalition forces fled Earth's orbit, General Stone looked at his team. Send word to all stations. Phase 1 complete. Prepare for ground combat. Let's show them what other primitive surprises we have waiting. The coalition's response came 3 hours after their retreat. Hundreds of smaller ships dropped out of light speed, carrying ground troops ready to teach humanity a lesson. Their personal shields glowed with energy as they descended from their vessels, plasma weapons humming with power. Captain Ward watched from a hidden bunker as the alien soldiers advanced through New York's streets. They still don't get it, she said into her radio. Look at their formation. They're only watching for energy weapons. All units hold position. General Stone's voice crackled back. Let them get comfortable. Let them think their new shields make them safe. The alien troops moved with absolute confidence. Their advanced sensors swept for energy signatures, searching for any sign of human resistance. They found nothing. No power readings, no energy weapons, nothing that their technology considered a threat. They completely missed the simple piano wire strung between buildings at neck height. The first line of coalition troops walked straight into the nearly invisible wires. Their personal shields, calibrated to stop energy weapons, didn't even activate. 3 aliens went down before the others realized what was happening. Now, Stone ordered, from windows and rooftops, humans armed with simple compound bows launched arrows. From distant buildings, ancient bolt-action rifles cracked. No electricity, no energy signatures, just simple mechanical forces that the aliens had forgotten how to defend against. The coalition troops tried to return fire, their plasma weapons lighting up the street, but they were shooting at empty windows. The humans had already moved to new positions, using the basic guerrilla tactics they'd perfected over centuries of warfare. They're clustering their shields, Ward reported, trying to create a defensive bubble. Perfect, Stone replied. Release the drinks. Local resistance fighters grinned as they unleashed their secret weapon, glass bottles filled with common cola. The carbonated liquid sprayed across the alien shields, which had no way to process the simple chemical reaction. The sticky liquid got into their armored joints, shorting out power systems and causing shield malfunctions. In the command center, Dr. Cooper monitored the battle through old-fashioned binoculars. Their shield technology has one fundamental flaw, he explained to the staff. It's built to stop things. But what happens when you throw something that's designed to spread and seep through cracks? Across the globe, similar scenes played out. In London, soccer fans turned out to be surprisingly good at hitting alien troops with slingshots. In Tokyo, martial artists found that a simple wooden staff could pass right through personal shields calibrated to stop energy weapons. In Moscow, Old women dropped flower pots from balconies, the simple gravity-powered projectiles catching aliens completely off guard. "Sir," Ward called out, "they're bringing in their heavy weapons." Massive walker units stomped through the streets, their legs crushing cars as they moved. Energy cannons charged up, ready to level entire blocks. Stone smiled. Time for the museum pieces. Around the city, canvas covers were pulled off to reveal World War I anti-tank guns. The old weapons had been carefully maintained by military history enthusiasts, people the Coalition had dismissed as primitive collectors. The guns roared, sending simple metal shells through the walkers' legs. No fancy targeting systems, just well-trained humans using mechanical sights and mathematics their ancestors had perfected. "Their armor is amazing against energy weapons," Cooper noted as another walker crashed down. "But they never thought to protect against simple high-velocity impacts. It's all about the kinetic energy." In orbit, the remaining Coalition ships watched in horror as their ground forces were systematically taken apart by weapons they had considered obsolete. Their advanced sensors were useless against the purely mechanical devices humanity was using. "Pull back." High Commander Vale's voice shook with rage. "Pull back and regroup." But it was too late. Every retreat route had been trapped with simple mechanical devices. Every escape path led through killing zones where humans waited with basic projectile weapons. The mighty Coalition army found itself being decimated by technology they had mocked just days ago. "Send word to the other cities," Stone ordered. "Begin Phase 3. Show them what else we kept in our museums." He looked at the old firearms and simple machines laid out on the table before him. Sometimes the best technology is the technology you know will work. In the streets below, humanity continued to prove that being primitive didn't mean being helpless. And the Coalition learned, too late, that forgetting the basics of warfare was the most primitive mistake of all. News of Earth's victory spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The mighty Stellar Coalition, which had conquered 100 worlds with their advanced technology, had been defeated by simple machines and basic physics. The response was immediate and unexpected. In the command center, Captain Ward watched as reports flooded in through their newly established alien communication channels. "Sir, you need to see this," she called to General Stone. The main screen showed Coalition ships fighting each other in distant star systems. Some vessels bore new markings. They had broken away from the Coalition's control. Their own subjected species had watched Earth's victory and decided to revolt. "The Centaurians have declared independence," Ward reported, reading the translations. "They say Earth showed them that technology gaps can be overcome with creative thinking. The Regelians are also breaking away. Even some of the Coalition's oldest member species are questioning their leadership." Stone watched the chaos unfold with careful attention. And fell. Still retreating. Their flagship took heavy damage from our kinetic strikes. Most of their fleet is in disarray. Ward pulled up another report. "Sir, we're getting diplomatic requests. Other species want to talk to us. They're interested in our primitive weapon designs." Dr. Cooper entered the room, carrying new data readings. The Coalition's entire military doctrine was based on energy weapons and shields, he explained. They forced the same technology on every species they conquered. But they never considered that their standardization would become their weakness. The screen showed more Coalition ships arriving, not to attack, but to defect. Their crews had seen how Earth's simple weapons had pierced their supposedly impenetrable defenses. They wanted to learn. "We're receiving a transmission from the Arcturus sector," Ward announced. "It's the Coalition's Inner Council." The screen flickered to life, showing alien faces very different from Vale's species. These were the true leaders of the Coalition, watching from safe distances as their empire began to crumble. "Your victory was unexpected," one of them admitted. Their translator couldn't quite hide the shake in their voice. "We wish to discuss terms." Stone stood straight, his expression neutral. "Terms. The Coalition recognizes Earth as an independent power," another council member said quickly. We propose a ceasefire and open diplomatic relations. And the other species you've subjugated? Stone asked. The ones breaking away. The council members shifted uncomfortably. They are internal coalition matters. Not anymore. Stone cut them off. Earth's terms are simple. Every species gets the same choice you gave us. Join willingly or maintain independence. But this time, it's a real choice. The council erupted in argument, but they fell silent when Stone raised his hand. You called us primitive, he reminded them. You mocked our weapons. Now those same primitive weapons have shown everyone that your power isn't absolute. How many of your member species will stay if we share our primitive technology with them? The threat was clear. Earth's weapons might be simple, but they had proven devastatingly effective against coalition defenses. If other species learned these basics of warfare that the coalition had forgotten, their entire empire would collapse. The coalition. One council member began, but another cut them off. We accept your terms, the second council member said quickly. All member species will be given free choice in their alignment. Ward's console lit up with more messages. Sir, we're getting requests from 30 different species. They all want to send observers to Earth. They want to learn about our military history, our primitive tactics. Stone allowed himself a small smile. Tell them we'll be happy to teach them. Starting with the basics, simple machines, projectile weapons, mechanical advantage. All the things the coalition forgot while chasing energy weapons and force fields. In orbit, more coalition ships arrived, no longer carrying weapons but bearing diplomatic signals. Earth had done more than defend itself. It had shown the galaxy that advanced technology wasn't everything. Sometimes the old ways, the simple ways, were the most effective. Prepare a welcome for our new allies, Stone ordered. And someone get the coalition's engineering corps down here. It's time they learned about levers, pulleys, and all the other primitive tools they've forgotten about. The galaxy was changing. Earth's victory hadn't just protected their independence. It had started a revolution in military thinking. Sometimes, Stone reflected, being called primitive wasn't an insult. Sometimes it just meant you remembered things others had foolishly forgotten. 1 year after Earth's victory over the coalition, the United Nations Assembly Hall looked very different. Aliens of various species sat among the human delegates, many wearing simple Earth-style military uniforms rather than their former coalition armor. General Stone stood at the podium, addressing the first Galactic Defense Conference. The basics of warfare never change, he explained to the gathered representatives. Energy shields and plasma weapons are powerful tools, but they're not the only tools. That's today's lesson. In the front row, Captain Ward sat next to a young Centaurian officer, showing him how to disassemble and clean an old rifle. The alien's 4 hands moved carefully over the weapon's mechanical parts, fascinated by its simple efficiency. No power source to fail, Ward explained. No complex targeting systems to jam. Just well-machined parts working together. The Centaurian nodded eagerly, taking notes with one hand while continuing to work with the others. Dr. Cooper had set up what he called the Physics 101 station in the building's main hall. He demonstrated simple machines, levers, pulleys, inclined planes, to amazed alien scientists who had skipped these basics in their rush toward advanced technology. Your species began with these, a Rigelian scientist asked, watching a block and tackle lift a heavy weight. No anti-gravity fields. Sometimes the simple solution is the best solution, Cooper replied. Anti-gravity fails, but pulleys and levers, they always work. High Commander Vale, now serving as a liaison between Earth and the reformed coalition worlds, stood at the back of the room. The alien leader had changed over the past year, trading their flowing energy armor for a simple Earth-style uniform. We forgot, Vale admitted to Stone after the presentation. In our race to advance, we forgot the foundations. Every species we conquered, we forced them to abandon their traditional weapons, their basic military knowledge. We thought we were elevating them. Stone nodded. Instead, You made everyone dependent on the same technology, with the same weaknesses. That's why Earth's victory sparked such change. We reminded everyone about the basics they'd forgotten. Outside the UN building, a remarkable scene unfolded. Human veterans taught alien soldiers about camouflage, terrain advantage, and battlefield tactics that didn't rely on advanced sensors. Former coalition warriors learned to fight without depending on their technology, discovering that their natural abilities, combined with basic tools, could be just as effective as their energy weapons. The galaxy is changing, Ward said, joining Stone at the window. Half the coalition worlds have declared independence. The others have formed a new alliance, with mandatory training in primitive warfare techniques. And the Council? Stone asked. Learning their lesson, they've ordered all coalition ships to be retrofitted with physical armor alongside their energy shields. They're also studying Earth's military history. Apparently, they find World War II particularly fascinating. Stone smiled. Nothing teaches military innovation like a planet-wide conflict fought with basic physics and simple machines. A group of alien children ran past the window, playing with simple paper airplanes they'd learned to make from human kids. Their parents watched in amazement as the basic toys flew better than their expensive anti-gravity toys. We're getting more requests, Ward reported. Species we've never even heard of want to send students to Earth's military academies. They want to learn everything, from stone tools to modern weapons. They say understanding the evolution of warfare helps them think in new ways. Not just warfare, Cooper added, joining them. Earth's manufacturing techniques are in high demand. Turns out, complex supply chains break easily. Being able to make simple, reliable tools with local resources, that's becoming valuable knowledge. Stone watched as a human instructor taught a group of alien officers how to use a compass and paper map. We never needed fancy technology to explore our world, fight our wars, or build our civilization. We get it with ingenuity, basic physics, and determination. The sun set over New York, its light reflecting off both the old UN building and the alien ships parked carefully in designated areas. Areas marked with simple painted lines rather than energy barriers. Earth had changed the galaxy not by advancing, but by remembering. By keeping their old knowledge while embracing the new. The coalition called us primitive, Stone said quietly. They were right. We remember our primitive roots, our basic tools, our simple solutions. That's not our weakness, it's our strength. Because sometimes the best way forward is to remember what worked in the past. In the growing darkness, human and alien children continued to play together, their laughter mixing with the sound of paper airplanes cutting through the air. The future would bring new challenges, new technologies, new conflicts. But now, thanks to Earth's primitive victory, the galaxy would face them with both advanced technology and basic wisdom, ready for whatever came next.